Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has thanked the Prime Ministers of Poland, the Czech Republic and Slovenia for travelling to Kyiv to meet him, despite the continuing bombardment by Russian forces. Their visit to the Ukrainian capital at such a difficult time was, he said, greatly appreciated.
At a time when even many ambassadors have left Ukraine because of the full-scale Russian invasion of the land, these respected people, these leaders of their beautiful independent European states are not afraid of anything, but are more afraid for our fate. I am sure that with such friends, with such countries and neighbors and partners, we can definitely win.
The Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said he admired Ukraine's fight against what he called a cruel aggressor. Officials in Ukraine say around 30,000 people escaped from cities encircled by Russian forces on Tuesday. About 20,000 managed to use a humanitarian corridor to drive out of the southern port city of Mariupol as the Russian siege there tightened. Aid trucks are waiting to enter the city, where food and water have almost run out, but are reportedly being blocked by Russian forces. Here's Lise Doucette.
Efforts yet again to get a convoy, said to be 100 tons of desperately needed food, water, medicine, was again blocked, not able to enter the city. Some private vehicles did make it out, about 2,000, but we understand that they're encountering obstacles, shelling, threats along the way. And we also have reports from the Ukrainian authorities, we're still waiting for details, that hundreds have been taken hostage in a hospital. The situation is dire and getting worse at times by the hour.
Ukraine says the Russian army has been systematically destroying civilian infrastructure, totalling 3,500 facilities. The Interior Minister said this included 165 electricity substations, gas pipelines and other essential facilities, and 21 hospitals. President Biden's agreed a spending bill that includes over $13 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. He'll take part in an emergency NATO summit in Europe next week. On Wednesday, NATO defence ministers will hold their first meeting since the Russian invasion. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg warned Russia could be gearing up to carry out a false flag attack.
Now they are making absurd claims about biological labs and chemical weapons in Ukraine. This is just another lie. And we are concerned that Moscow could stage a false flag operation, possibly including chemical weapons.
BBC News. The biggest mining companies operating in Brazil have condemned legislation proposed by President Jair Bolsonaro to legalise mining in indigenous lands, including in the Amazon region. Leonardo Rocha reports.
The Brazilian Mining Institute, which represents companies like Rio Tinto, Anglo American and Vale, described the proposal as inappropriate. They have also criticized illegal mining in protected areas and called for a wider debate on the issue with the presence of indigenous leaders. The announcement is a blow for Mr. Bolsonaro, who won the presidential election 4 years ago, promising to cut red tape, as he put it, to encourage the economic development of the Amazon region. He is now arguing that with the war in Ukraine, Brazil needs to exploit new mineral reserves to produce fertilizers that it previously imported from Russia.
The Iraqi parliament has set March the 26th as the date for presidential elections. Political wrangling has delayed the vote, which should have been held a month ago. 45 people applied for the post, 5 of whom have been disqualified. On Sunday, a dozen missiles were fired at Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan by neighbouring Iran, which has links with some of Iraq's political parties. The sister ship of the container vessel Ever Given that blocked the Suez Canal last year for a week when it grounded has suffered a similar fate, this time on the east coast of the United States. Officials in Maryland say the 300-metre vessel, ironically named Ever Forward, got stuck in shallow waters as it left the port of Baltimore. The US Senate has passed legislation that would make daylight saving time permanent from next year. Supporters of the bill say that bright afternoons would benefit those suffering from winter blues and would also boost economic activity. Most American states set their clocks forward 1 hour in March and back again in November. BBC News.
BBC News at midday.